Well, hello friends. Today we are walking around the front yard. It's been a little bit since I've done a garden video because, well, I live in Southeast Iowa. And when it gets into late August, mid-August even, really the whole month of August was extremely humid. And I just wasn't doing a lot outside. The garden was growing well. I started harvesting lots of tomatoes, peppers, everything. But I kind of put a lot of other tasks on hold because it was too hot. So I'm doing some what I'm gonna call early fall tasks. A lot of times I talk about what not to do in the fall because I like to leave a lot of my garden. I like to leave the perennials until next year. I like to do really minimal things, but there's a few things I do like to do if I have time, if I can get a jump start kind of on next year that doesn't do anything to hibernating, pollinators, or disrupting anything I have. So today we're gonna work on a few of those tasks just to kind of get ready for winter, maybe clean things up a bit, get outside and kind of enjoy the weather too. Hey buddy, hey, wanna come play? Kip is bringing his toy, so he's gonna join us with his toy. That's usually how I keep him entertained while I'm working. We are in the front yard, so you're gonna hear road noise because I live on a road. Right, Kip? Do you want to play or do you just want to hold your toy? Let's try it. Let's go. There you go. We might be playing in between. So what I'm going to do actually to start here is work on edging, kind of circling some trees. Now this can be, I bring my garden cart. I have a gator full of mulch. I have my garden cart to work on any of the debris I'm working with. This can be a contentious thing to talk about. I know, it's gardening. What could be contentious? Really, this is a differing of opinions for some people. My thing is when it comes to a tree, when it is a big tree that's maybe established, a big shade tree, or when there's trees in a timber or a forest, they obviously don't have perfect circles around them. We don't put mulch around them. The difference here is this isn't a landscaped yard. The grass starts encroaching on it, not only for aesthetic reasons, which that is part of it, but for other reasons too. I like to circle it. It obviously looks really good when you circle it, makes it look a little bit cleaned up. But honestly, what it also does, remove any weeds or any of just those grass roots from around a younger tree. So it's not fighting maybe for moisture, but honestly also, it just makes it a lot easier to mow. When we're working in an area like this, you don't want to get too close to it, not only with the wheels of the mower, but also with the blades. So I do like to ring my trees. Now this one has been ringed before. We've had a lot of rain this year. The grass has just started growing in. So I'm using my favorite. You can see there's even dirt on it. It's a half moon edger. I do have a stainless steel one because then like this, if I leave soil on it or it gets wet, it doesn't rust, which is really nice. So what I do, you could do two options here. You could cut a string to length, kind of loosely tie it around the trunk and make a circle with it and mark it or use your kind of spade as a guide. I eyeball it. You know why? Because why not? It's my yard and I choose to. So sometimes what I'll do to kind of give myself a gauge is I'll use the actual shovel as a guide and I'll measure out and know a spot on the shovel that maybe will be 2 feet out, 3 feet out, whatever it is. You can even mark your shovel at different heights, 2, 3 feet, whatever. So you could always use it throughout the garden as a guide. But what I'm gonna do is just start cutting it in. This is a 4-inch blade. I'm just gonna go around and make a cut. And yes, I'm gonna eyeball kind of about what I'm doing. And then I will go in and remove this grass. Now, if you can't see, what I did was I just made a cut line with that edger all the way around, which does about a 4-inch deep line if you push it in, and it kind of goes 4 inches deep. So what I'm doing now is going to remove this grass, or if it's weeds. Now, you can always start smaller, go bigger if you want to. It really just depends on maybe, if you're doing it for mowing reasons, it depends on your mowing blade, your rider mower or push mower, how deep you maybe want it, how comfortable you are to get close to the tree. What I do then is I take a spade and I lift that grass. In this case, it's mostly junk grass or nothing that's really nice. If it's really nice grass and I'm removing some that's kind of really been established, I'll maybe replant it somewhere else if I need it. This is mostly a kind of a weedy grass, which you can tell from its roots that are just kind of runner roots going everywhere. And what I'm gonna do is remove it all the way around and then decide if I want to go a little bit more out further or not. So you can see here what looks like a really nice beginning. By the way, when I say runner roots, this is some of the runners from weed type grasses that, which I know all grass is kind of a weed, but it can be a little bit excessive. So you can see it's a nice ring, but really I want to make it even bigger just because you can see from the canopy of the tree, how I try to decide is when I'm sitting on I have a rider mower, when I sit on it, if I'm going to be hitting the tree or if it's going to be in the way and I'm not going to be able to have a nice cut around it when I'm mowing, I try to go a distance so I know I can make a nice cut, not make any deep grooves in this, not have to excessively go in and out, which could cause, scuff marks in the yard. So I'll probably go a little bit bigger here and then just kind of finish up. So now you can see we have a nice ring all the way around the tree. Now, when I do some of my flower beds, I like to create a nice big ditch, like 4 inches, and create that harsh edge to help grass stop from growing in. When a tree is young, this one was planted probably 6-8 years ago. When a tree is that young, it has a lot of growing to do, right? So it's gonna keep taking up more and more space. I don't create that big ditch just because it's gonna get taken away probably every year as this tree grows. So instead I pretty much leave it like this. I take maybe a little bit of soil, so there's a little bit of difference just so I can put mulch down. Mulch is honestly mostly for weed suppressant, obviously a little bit of moisture retention. The one thing you never want to do is pile anything up on this trunk. I took a lot of work to make sure this was planted at the right depth. That means that crown or that root flare is exposed, which does have a few saplings right here. You can cut those off. Don't ever spray them or anything, just cut them off. But now I'll put some mulch, but I will not, you will notice, pile anything up high on this trunk. So just about 2 to 3 inch layer at most of that mulch. The whole point of compost or mulch here is that it should compost back into the ground. So you want to do enough that it suppresses the weeds or maybe some grass to grow back in. You don't want to build it up on the trunk, that volcano or mushroom looking mulch. That's really not healthy for the tree. It can't get the oxygen it needs. So I have some more trees here to do. I'm going to keep going. On this tree, you can see that I actually took out a lot more because this one is a kind of a low growing but wide kind of upright cylinder tree. And it really has been getting a lot more dense at the bottom, which it's supposed to. That's caused me to have a lot of issues when I'm mowing. So I took this one out a little closer to at least 2.5 feet all the way around, kind of from the trunk. But you can see it also meant I had some really big pieces of sod I was removing. So these I'm gonna save, and I'm just gonna put them in different areas. Since we're in fall, hopefully getting more rain, cooler weather, put them in areas where they can root in before winter and just keep growing. Finishing up here on my last of 4 trees for today, which you can see, it makes a huge difference for the look of the tree. It makes it look a little bit cleaner, a little bit more of that kind of clean cut landscaping, but I'm not just doing it for aesthetics, like I said. Easier to mow around, better weed suppression around the tree to not fight with those roots, whether it's with grass roots, other weeds. It really is overall beneficial for a tree that's in the middle of a lawn like this. If it was out in my pasture, I probably wouldn't do it. But here in my yard, it makes a huge difference. As you can see, that's the hard work. That's why you want to do it when it's cooler. Usually I do it in the fall or the spring. This year it works well to do all 4 of them in the fall. We had so much rain over kind of the course of the spring and summer that the grass really was growing in a lot more than usual. I do those maybe every other year. I don't think I did them all last year. Sometimes you have to clean them up year to year, but this should kind of be good to go for a while. So now what we're going to do is go on to one of the tasks. So I always say, don't do anything in your perennial beds until late winter, early spring. And it's very true except for one caveat. So I am in my backyard, specifically close to my garden shed, as I call it, because that's where I'm going to be working right now. And I'm going to show you what I'm doing and why I do think it's important to do in the fall. My biggest piece of advice is always leave your perennials until next year. They are a great hibernating area for beneficial insects, pollinators. They offer They offer feed to birds through maybe their seed heads. They also, to me, just add some winter interest. The foliage can protect the crowns of the plants and the roots by some extra protection if we don't have a good snowpack or any snow at all. But the one difference I do is my peonies. So by the end of a season, sometimes even before, a peony can look a little sad. And I'm gonna show you, maybe up close here, some of the leaves. So peonies are prone to powdery mildew. They're prone to different diseases, black spot. You see that right up on there. And once they start looking like it's encompassing the plant, that's when I do take them away. Now, if they look great until frost, leave them. I would leave them as long as they look good. But if they start looking like they're succumbing to different mildews and diseases, to me, there is no benefit of leaving that right where it is over the winter. I don't want those leaves and those diseases to go back into the soil. And I know there's some kind of varying thoughts on whether it does or not, but either way, I think let's get rid of it now. Let's not let it sit. Peonies are super hardy. They do okay without their foliage left on. So they're the one plant I always do clean up right now, kind of in the fall. Now, what you can do, of course, if you want to kind of stave off, if you are prone to powdery mildew and things, you can start spraying on like neem oil. Early on the season, you want to do it preventatively, like before you see it. Otherwise, I don't usually do that. Mine don't usually show any signs of stress until pretty much when we get to autumn. So what I do is I take a good shears now, and any of my herbaceous peonies, so that is your Ito peonies and your traditional garden peonies, they can go back to the ground. Your tree peonies, the ones that have more of a sturdy stem or almost trunk, those you want to leave. Those you do not trim to the ground. Those defoliate, kind of like a deciduous tree would, but you don't cut them back. So any of this foliage, I have recently, I kind of changed up what I thought on this. I used to never add it to my compost pile, thinking, well, that disease and mildew probably isn't good. But through different readings and research and some different books I have on compost, I really do agree that if it's going to go into a compost pile and sit for a long enough time that it bakes, that it cooks, that it's turned and churns into an organic matter, that disease and mildew should not matter anymore. So I do add these greens to my compost bed, my big pile usually now. But you can see it really opens up a big area here in the garden. Now what I leave is any of the salvias, any of the humilos, anything that looks still good. If some of my peonies look good yet, I usually will leave them because as long as the leaves look nice and bright and green, they are taking in energy and they're feeding their roots pretty much through that too. Okay, friends, I'm gonna show you one other reason that this is a good time to check your plants in the fall. So lately, this is the first time this happened was 1 or 2 years ago. I was looking close at a peony in the fall and I noticed scale on it. So this one too, I was just cutting it back. Do you see up here close? All that is armored scale, which it's kind of gross. You can peel it off or kind of work it off with a finger or fingernail, but it really attaches onto the stem. Now, this is an herbaceous perennial, so it is going to go die back to the ground. But either way, what I'm going to do now is use all seasons dormant oil on any of the stems that are left if they have any scale on them, because all seasons dormant oil can be used in any season, doesn't have to be a certain temperature. It will encase and coat each little scale with an oil that suffocates it. So it's better to get a head start on it right now as opposed to next spring, because a lot of times this stuff can live through the winter if any is left on the plant. So doing this kind of task or going through your garden right now, and I'll check my roses too because this can be on the roses. It's a great time to check things because if you have to deal with it, start early so it's not a big deal next year. I have all this pretty much cleaned up from the peonies. I need to go back and now pick them up. But it kind of has just opened up some of this, which honestly, for air circulation is probably okay after such a humid year. What I thought we could do to kind of finish this up is walk around some of the areas I'm not going to touch now this fall, but also the ones I just planted this spring so you can really see how they've changed. So we're walking right into the new path area that I planted this spring with everyone here. And if you notice, the Summer Magic Nepeta, this was all plugs, 1-inch plugs. Look how big it got. So we're sitting right now, we're in October. It has been since May that all of this was planted, if not June, some of it. And most of it was plugs. If it wasn't plugs, it was 4-inch pot perennials. Even still, you can see all the pollinators flying all over it. There are still bees. It is very active. You can see actually some beautiful bumblebees right there. Do you see them just kind of moving about? So even up here until early fall, we are getting beautiful pollinators still working as this kind of warm air is still with us. If you back up, you're really starting to see it come together. Now, of course, next year, it's even going to be bigger and fuller. This is just a few months of growth. So imagine now, after it has kind of gone dormant for the winter and is already planted early next year for spring growth, this is just going to be full of lush, beautiful growth. It's going to have blooms all throughout. It's going to be more of a pollinator haven even than it is now. One of my favorite things is already seeing some of the shade, which you can see the dappling shade on me from the big trees I planted, the Emerald City tulip trees. Now remember, these are all going to be hedged and clipped and trimmed to be kept into a shape. They would get too big otherwise. I planted them knowing I wanted their big, glossy, dark leaves, but also that I wanted their big growth so I could trim it and prune it how I wanted. What's more important though is, can you see how things are flowing into the pathway? That's exactly what I wanted. I wanted them to flow together, to work together. And so now each year things will get bigger and more beautiful as they go. As we come around the corner, you can see beyond my vegetable garden is a little sad. I need to kind of clean up the cucumbers that are done and everything else. But you can see this was planted last year. This was planted this year. The Rudbeckia were obviously, these were all just little starts of like from over here, I just took little seedlings that had started and planted them here. And already they're blooming this year. Next year, they're going to be huge and beautiful, just like all my other. So everything here has really filled in. I really can't wait until next year just to see all the changes in this growth. The Joe Pye weed has already bloomed, but if you look down this way, it's really transformed in just a short time, both last year and this year, into something that's a lot more kind of magical. It's creating an intimate space here to be able to have friends over in the evenings, even in the summer. This is nice and cool. It's a windbreak when I kind of want it to be. It really has kind of just been a magical area, and it's just going to keep encompassing that. So these all are the perennial beds that I do not touch. So all these newly planted ones I'm showing you, I don't touch. And I have videos up from previous years where what I do is I go in with a push mower and I just go over all this, because after winter you have to realize some snow kind of breaks a lot of the foliage. The wind does. So I usually am able to go in. Sometimes I trim a little bit down, but then I still go in with my push mower and just mulch it all up so it self-composts in and it's always feeding itself in a constant life cycle. That really has made this area be a lot less work for me. While it looks like big areas of perennial beds, they really have become not near as much work as you would think. In their first year, I have to watch the weeds, make sure they don't overtake before the perennials take hold. But honestly, by the end of this year, I'm hardly doing any weeding because already these perennials have grown into each other. By next year, they're going to be fully growing into each other, and it kind of takes care of itself. By composting back in and kind of leaving that foliage so it breaks back down, it's also going to add its own organic matter year after year. So you're constantly building the soil health too, along with feeding and kind of being a great bed for native pollinators, for happy insects, beneficial insects, all those things. So it's been a really great year of transformation there, and I'm excited to even watch it more next year. I might add a little bit to it next year, kind of in one more area. A garden is never done. So today we got a lot done. We edged around trees, we mulched them, they're ready for winter, they're ready for next spring, that's more important. We did get rid of some debris with the peonies. They did have scale, that's one reason, but also they had mildew issues, disease issues, so I want to get rid of that. And we were able to look at kind of some of the plantings and how they're doing so far, which is always kind of really fun to do. So now what I'm going to do is plant some of that grass I dug up around those trees and find new homes for it so it can keep living. No reason to throw it out. Happy gardening, friends.